has targeted, or the opposition and many, even in the legal industry, have targeted the BJP, accusing it of setting a wrong precedent. Remember, Justice Abdul Nazeer was a part of the bench that gave the landmark Ayodhya judgment. Not just that, ruled in favor of the government when it came down to demonetization. Take a look.
Former Supreme Court Judge Justice Abdul Nazeer is the new Governor of Andhra Pradesh. Justice Nazeer was part of a 5-judge constitutional bench which delivered the landmark Ayodhya verdict, paving the way for the Ram Temple. The government conferred him with the responsibility 4 weeks after he retired. The appointment of Justice Nazeer drew howls of protest from the opposition, which termed it a payback for the Ayodhya verdict favourable to the Hindu side and an attack on independence of the judiciary.
अब जस्टिस नजीर साहब को आपने गवर्नर बना दिया। राम जन्मभूमि बाबरी मस्जिद का सुप्रीम कोर्ट के फैसले पर बहुत लोग सवालिया निशान लगाते चले आ रहे हैं कि गवर्नमेंट के दबाव में हुआ है। उन लोगों के शक और शुबे को और मजबूत करता।
As a matter of principle, we oppose it. As a matter of principle, we believe that this is a great diminution and a great threat to the independence of the judiciary.
नज़ीर अहमद साहब जैसे जस्टिस मिलेंगे नहीं, उनके फैसलों के ऊपर आप प्रश्न लगाएंगे। स्पष्ट दिखता है कि आप देश के किसी भी इंस्टीट्यूशन पर विश्वास करने को चाह नहीं है।
Sharing a picture of the judges who gave the Ayodhya judgment, AIMIM leader Waris Pathan took a jibe at the Modi government. The BJP claimed that the Congress-left ecosystem opposes everything that the government does. BJP General Secretary BL Santosh slammed the Congress for crying foul over Justice Nazeer's appointment. Justice Nazeer is the 3rd judge from the bench of Ayodhya judgment to get government positions. Ex-Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi was made a Rajya Sabha member, while Justice Ashok Bhushan is the chief of the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, joining me right now is Justice Santosh Hegde, former Lokayukt of Karnataka and former Solicitor General of India. Appreciate you joining us, sir. How do you view the appointment in context with, because there was a huge controversy when Justice Gogoi went to the Rajya Sabha exactly 4 months, if I'm not wrong, after retiring. And this time around, 6 weeks was practically the cooling off period. And that was that for Justice Nazeer to be appointed as the Governor of Andhra Pradesh. How do you view it, sir?
I think there is a concerted effort on the part of the politicians in this country to denigrate the judiciary. This has started quite some time back. And I could only quote as a support to my understanding of the situation is a statement of the Honorable Law Minister who said judges can't appoint judges and there should be a representative of the government in the collegium. Otherwise, the system will not work as contemplated under the Constitution. A situation which has now been in existence for decades together, and off and on there has been an attempt on the part of the legislature to have its nominee in the collegium so that they can have a say in the matter and maybe in the days to come take over the selection of the judges to themselves and all. Similarly, a little sometime later, the Honorable Vice President of India suddenly started commenting on a case decided by the Supreme Court way back in 50 years back almost, in Keshwan Bharti's case. He commented and said the judgment is not correct, it requires to be rectified and all. This, according to me, shows an effort on the part of the politicians to take control of the judiciary. They have taken control of the executive. Today the administration is in the hand of elected representatives. Of course, the elected representatives know, everybody knows what they are doing also as a part of their constitutional obligations and the thing, you know. The only institution that was left, according to me, which was independent of the other 2 institutions, was judiciary. And I think the effort is now to have an all-out attack on the judiciary.
You know, there was no stipulated cooling off period per se to say. there's nothing in the fine print there that should judges actually hold post-retirement appointments or not as well. But, Justice Hegde, I'll ask you, as per you, do you feel that there should be a cooling off period somewhere down the line where you feel maybe, that the judge is above suspicion? Because it's happened in the past multiple times as well. And to keep in factor on why it was opposed in the first place by B.R. Ambedkar, at that point of time, things were very different. Right now, in the current judicial context, the government is one of the largest litigants in courts today.
But what is this cooling off period? How much should be the cooling off period? Why should there be cooling off period? Meaning thereby, in anticipation of their retirement and a job post-retirement, they're going to deliver judgments merely because you don't like the judgment, or the party in power or the government in power does not like the judgment when they are in the opposition. If supposing the opposition party today were in power and all, and if they appointed a judge from the Supreme Court, which they have done all these years, and not two Supreme Court judges have been appointed as governors also, was there talk about cooling off period? Are there cooling off period to the politicians to become ministers? Are there cooling off period for a president to become a president of India? Is there a cooling off period for a vice president to be occupying the office and all? What is this concept of cooling off period? Unheard of anywhere, cooling off period. Or if you really think that these judges are going to be partisan people, then you disqualify them. In the Constitution, you disqualify them that no judge of the Superior Court shall ever hold an office after his retirement.
But, Justice Hegde, why I'm saying that is, if you look at past precedents, and nobody's saying it's this government or that government, but let's just go back in history, from the 80s, there have been multiple instances which have made not just political parties, but a lot from your own fraternity question appointments. Why I say that? Of course, in the current context, you have a case of Justice Nazeer and you had a case of Justice Gogoi going to the Rajya Sabha. But let's, hark back maybe to 1991 in the case of Justice Ranganathan Mishra. 1991, he retired. In 1998, he was sent to the Rajya Sabha by the Congress government. In 1984, he was the same judge who acquitted all the top leadership of the Congress when it came down to the Sikh riots. On the other hand, if you look at Justice Islam, 1983 he retired, 1983 he was sent to the Rajya Sabha, and he was the same judge who somewhere down the line gave relief to the Congress Bihar Chief Minister in the Patna UC Bank scam. So in context of all of that, when you look at a judge, when you look at the judiciary, you'd hope they're above suspicion. And instances like that, when collated together, does make anyone raise questions of quid pro quo.
Well, if that be so, shall I quote some other judges? One of the greatest judges India has produced is Mr. M.C. Chagla. He was appointed on retirement as an ambassador to the United States. Later on, he became an education minister. Was there a cooling off period then? Was there a talk about cooling off period? When it suits, you bring in all sorts of restrictions. What is the difference between there being a cooling off period or no cooling off period? If a man is committed to a particular political philosophy or has delivered a judgment as a quid pro quo for his appointment thereafter, he will be forever in their favor. You have a cooling off period of 1 year. After the end of 1 year, he will be appointed as an ambassador or a governor or a vice president or a president. He will continue to have that thinking about, oh, this party has helped me, so I will help them. If that be the thought, then there should be no reappointment to the judges at all. Just think of another thing. During the political tenure of one political office, president is elected. He stays in that office even after the party goes out of power, new party comes. Then can you blame that president because you have been appointed by a previous government, a previous political party, so you should resign?
All right, Justice Hegde, you're making a fair point, because if, say, somebody holds a political thought or somebody leans towards a political ideology or a political party, it's not that a break of 2 years is going to change that. And he can still be rehabilitated after that, like we've seen in the past. I want to ask you your own point of view. Leave alone the cooling off period. Are you an advocate of judges holding government appointments post-retirement?
It is left to the government of the day to disqualify a judge from becoming holding a political office, elected office. It's for them to do it. Let them do it if they think it's the appropriate thing to do and all. But this concept of cooling off period, does not in any manner serve the purpose of having independent people holding offices. If a person is committed to a particular post and he has been delivering judgments in favor of a political party, he will perpetually be there until he feels comfortable in that political thinking. The cooling off period will have no meaning at all.
Justice Hegde, appreciate you taking the time out and joining us this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to now cut across because the debate has also turned highly political, understandably. Not just the Congress, but most opposition parties are gunning for the government with the charge of quid pro quo or awarding plum posts to those who seemingly have favoured government judgments, is what the opposition charges. Let's cut across to R.P. Singh, national spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party, Kapil Madan. He's a lawyer and a Congress supporter. Kapil Madan, I want to begin with you with what Justice Hegde said. If a judge holds a particular perspective, point of view, ideology, affiliation to a political party, how does a 2-year cooling off period change that? He'll still hold it. He can still be rehabilitated, like the Congress did rehabilitate in that context, if one is to go by that theory, many of judges in the past.
See, Preeti ji, what is happening here? You need to see this, entire debate in the context of what the government is doing with the collegium system. From the, past 4-5 months, we are having a situation where, the law minister is continuously making statement against the collegium system. And to my understanding, this entire debate is all calibrated. It is all well designed. And let me give you a very logical reason why there should be a debate on whether a judge immediately upon retiring takes upon the role of an executive. Now, you have to see that in most of the cases, and in fact, in order to give you just a random figure, in 80% of the cases, it is the executive who is the litigant before the court. Now, what happens is if a sitting judge immediately joins any executive position, the faith, the public perception of independence of judiciary gets dented. And let me quote law commission report from 1958. Since 1958, the law commission also on record mentioned that it affects the impartial independence of judiciary. And let me also quote late Mr. Jaitley, who again on record very vehemently and very openly made a remark that pre-retirement judgments are sometimes influenced by the post-retirement positions.
So, but nobody's questioning that. Mr. Jaitley said it, Mr. Nitin Gadkari said it, it's been brought up many times in Parliament, but is it actually a cat and mouse game is the big question? Because, okay, you don't have a cooling off period, or you stipulate that, but the ideology doesn't change. So should the debate be actually that should judges actually be allowed to hold posts which are government posts after retirement? Should that be the question itself in there? I want to bring in our BJP spokesperson as well, R.P. Singh. Let me go back to the 1980s and the early 1990s. Justice Ranganath Mishra, 1991, retires. 98, solid 7 years after, is given a Rajya Sabha post. 1984, he's the same judge who gives a clean chit to Congress top brass, and you know the leaders more than I, sir. Would you look at this as quid pro quo, or would you think that this is a fair post which he was given? He was made the member of the Rajya Sabha.
Well, Preeti, there's a big, long list of judges who were.
Sir, I have the same list, so therefore I'm asking you the same question.
Vice presidents.
No, sir, I have the same list, and I'm asking you the question on.
I'm not quoting the list at all.
No, I'm just asking you a question, because if you are going to come and defend, because there is a certain set which will stand up today and say that this is quid pro quo because of what Justice Nazeer, in terms of siding with the government where demonetization was concerned, or where the Ayodhya judgment was concerned. He was part of that unanimous 5-judge bench. Even if he had deferred, it wouldn't have changed the stand, even with demonetization. But strategically, he seemed to side with the government, is what one side will say. But the same side, which is, sir, yours, is my question which I quoted, is would you have thought that Justice Ranganathan Mishra, who acquitted everyone all the Congress top brass in 1984 of the Sikh riots was given a Rajya Sabha post in 98 after he retired in 91. Would you see this as quid pro quo, or was this also a fair posting like Justice Nazeer?
Okay, can I complete? And then
Yes, sir,
probably
please.
Next time you interject after I complete. See, again, I was not reading out the list from Justice Choudhry and Justice Hegde has mentioned all those names also. Issue is, we are cherry picking. I mean, same justice has given additional triple talaq. He has a dissent on triple talaq. But no one is talking about that. But since Ram Janambhoomi, Congress is not able to digest till date that Ram Janambhoomi is coming. The magnificent temple of Ram Janambhoomi is being constructed at the site. That's the problem. And that's why they will always keep raising questions which are related to Ram Janambhoomi. That's the problem. And then it's not because of the Justice Nazeer being made governor, and then they try to relate it to Ram Janambhoomi. But specifically,
So he also
because
sided
they
with the
can't till
government in
date accept that
demonetization.
Ram Janambhoomi's temple is coming. Again, I mean, then why don't you pick up triple talaq? He gave a dissent note on triple
True.
talaq. If he has
Sir,
been-
I
if
gave
he
you
has
three
been
other
favoring
examples
government,
in front of
then
you.
he should have not given it.
Mr. Singh, I gave you three other examples, which were the Congress's appointments.
No, I am not. There are many more questions than those examples. There are many more than those examples. You had quoted Ranganath Mishra about 1980. You were talking about 1984 massacre and how he was given a Rajya Sabha ticket after he sat on the SHI where he gave a clean sheet as per you. I'm not going by that, but talking about this specific case of Justice Nazeer. Why do Congress has a problem? Give me a second. Why do Congress has a problem with Ram Janambhoomi? That's my question. I mean, they are not talking about triple talaq. Again, I will keep repeating that because there's the thrust. I mean, you can quote me 10 more examples. I'll quote you more examples of Justice Hidayatullah and other examples also. So, but fact is that it has not been done it has not been done because of his decision on any subject. He was a judge above everything else, and he gave his decision as per his conscience and as per the law, not by the dictated by anyone else. So, I mean, questioning the judgment and then questioning the justice, that's wrong.
Okay, questioning is wrong in terms of attaching quid pro quo, but Kapil Madan, that's where it comes down to. You know, the sheer fact of appointments like governors, where Rajya Sabha is concerned, it needs to be awarded to people of eminence who come from various walks of government service. So in context of that, what really is wrong with this?
So, Preeti, let me give you an example. You know, since Mr. Singh is not a lawyer, I will, discount and I would not expect him to give this answer. Now, what happens is that when we are, practicing law, or if any, judge is holding a bench, now we have a concept of, reasonable apprehension of bias. Now, if there is a situation that even, indicates that there is an apprehension of biases, now usually what happens is in those kind of cases, the judges usually recuse themselves from hearing those cases. So I will just draw this logic and I will, take this further to say, when, there is an issue of appointment by an executive, and even if there is a remote reasonable apprehension of bias that you have, decided any case which has some sort of, political implication, then I think it is important you have, some sort of cooling off period so that,
But Kapil Madan, cooling off period, I beg your pardon, changes really nothing. What does it change? Ideology could remain the same if you are trying to attribute political motive behind his judgments. It's not that in 2 years he's going to think differently. So do you actually believe that former judges should not hold any government post retirement? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I am not suggesting. What I am saying is that there should be some scheme which should be fair, which should be impartial, and which should rule out any possibility of bias, any apprehension of bias, in these kind of matters. That's all we are saying. And in fact, Mr.
What could
Mr.
be that
Singh is
scheme,
now-
Mr. Madan? That's the question. Because either you say that you're not going to appoint them, they're not going to give them government post retirement. Or the cooling off period, it's not that ideology is going to change. It's going to remain the same.
Preeti ji, the cooling off period is important because immediately if a person who has passed any order in the favor of the executive, immediately if he takes the faith, the public perception of independence of judiciary gets dented. And you can't rule out a possibility, of any particular judgment is influenced by the post-retirement, post or any.
Okay. In that concept, in that context, RP Singh, let's subscribe to the Caesar's wife needs to be above suspicion analogy. In that particular context, maybe a cooling off period really does work. Because if you look at it, yes, he might have had a different view of triple talaq than the governments, but the two big ticket judgments, be it Ayodhya and be it the judgment of demonetization, in that context, Justice Nazeer did, seeming to go with what the government wanted.
I take objection to that he did what was right as per the law, not because government has a point of view, one. Secondly, also that, cooling off period, then the precedent should have been laid. Since 1958, the precedent has been different. And then it has happened again and again, whether it was Jawaharlal Nehru, whether it was Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, Shastri Ji, Gulzari Lal Nanda, all of them has given...
But Mr. Singh, your own leaders like Mr. Jaitley, like Mr. Nitin Gadkari have made proficient speeches on the fact of the need of a cooling off period and government appointments post-retirement.
So we can change our position also. There's nothing wrong in it. We took a position and then we can change our position. What's the problem in that? But again, I'll reiterate, the problem with the Congress party is that they can't digest Ram Janmabhoomi decision till date. They tried their best in the courts. They sent their different lawyers in the court so that the decision should not come, and that's the problem with them. And then again, you are quoting two instances, but you are saying that triple talaq was one off. I'll appreciate, go through a lot of other decisions which Justice Nazeer has taken. So we should go through all other decisions which he has taken. So, but don't castigize a judge because he has given a judgment as per law, and then it doesn't suit you. There's the problem with the Congress that they don't believe in any institution, whether it's judiciary, whether it's election commission, whether it's army. I'll give you one example. Chief of the army, Army General Narwane said that not an inch of land has been taken by China. But till date, the Congress didn't accept that. They don't believe in what Army General said. So same is the case here, that they don't believe in any institution. They keep questioning the institutions because when it suits them, it's good. That's the psychology of the dynasty. But dynasty believes in only my way or highway.
No, well, it's okay. I think I would, think it goes a little deeper when you talk about the BJP has changed its stand. But wouldn't you reckon, for the benefit of all, maybe there is a set rule that is now put in place, because the largest litigants in court today is the government. It wasn't the case earlier when rules were made, and maybe now there should be a need of a cooling off period. Kapil Madan, 10 seconds, I need to close the show.
So I would just, appreciate the honesty of Mr. Singh, where Mr. Singh has very candidly and very honestly has, stated that the BJP is into politics of convenience. A stand which they, wanted to object at one point in time. They want to, have a completely
Mr. Singh wants to come in for a counter. RP Singh, go ahead. We'll close the show, sir, after that.
Very simple. It's not a matter of suitability or convenience at all. There is a person who is capable and should be given a post, or he should handle a post, or he should manage a position. So that's the issue.
All right, with that I'm going to end this debate. I appreciate both of you for joining us. We've run terribly out of time. Should there be a cooling off period for the judiciary? We leave it for our viewers to decide. And we've hoped that we've tried to touch on the various aspects of that. A quick break. Up next is News Track.
फेवरेट हीरो, बाहर जाने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, यही महाराष्ट्र में ही आपको मिल जाएंगे। शिवाजी तो पुराने युग की बात है।
After the row over the comments on Chhatrapati Shivaji and face-off with opposition and pushing the ruling Shinde Sena BJP alliance on back foot, Maharashtra